Most gardeners think January is a waiting month, a planning month, a month for dreaming through seed catalogs while staring out at frozen ground. But here's the truth nobody tells you. January is actually the most critical planting month of the entire year. While your neighbors are sleeping on their garden plans, you could be starting crops right now that will give you fresh food from March all the way through next winter. We're talking about vegetables that will actually save you hundreds of dollars at the grocery store and make you completely independent from those $4 lettuces and $8 bunches of kale. Today, I'm showing you exactly which 15 crops you need to plant this January, how to start them, and why missing this narrow window could cost you months of harvest time. Let's jump in. Crop number 1, onions. Here's something that will blow your mind. Every single onion you buy at the store took nearly 6 months to grow. That's why starting onion seeds in January isn't optional if you want a serious harvest. Onions require about 5 to 6 months to reach maturity, which means seeds planted now will give you massive storage-worthy bulbs by late summer. But here's the secret most gardeners miss. You need to trim the tops back to 3 inches every time they reach 5 or 6 inches tall. This forces all that energy into the bulb instead of the leaves. Start your onion seeds indoors in seed trays with good drainage. Keep them at room temperature near a bright window. And when they're ready, you'll have enough onions to last your entire family a full year from a single tray of seeds. Crop number 2, leeks. If you've never grown leeks, you're missing out on one of the most valuable vegetables for year-round food security. Many leek varieties require 120 to 150 days to reach full size, which is exactly why January planting is essential. The incredible thing about leeks is they stand in the garden through snow and ice, providing fresh vegetables when absolutely nothing else is growing. They're sweeter than onions, more versatile than green onions, and they don't require any storage because they simply wait in the ground until you need them. Start them exactly like onions indoors, but when you transplant them outside, use a technique called trenching. Make a deep hole with a stick, drop the leek seedling in, and just water it. The hole fills in naturally as the leek grows, creating that long white shaft everyone loves. Crop number 3, tomatoes. Now I know what you're thinking. Tomatoes in January? Absolutely. Tomatoes are slow-growing plants that need a long time in the garden before producing fruit. If you wait until spring to start tomato seeds, you're looking at an August harvest when everyone else's tomatoes are finally ready. But start them in late January, and you'll be eating fresh tomatoes in June. Here's exactly what to do. Use small pots with seed starting mix. Keep them warm at 70 to 75 degrees Fahrenheit during the day. The moment those first true leaves appear, transplant each seedling into its own 4-inch pot. Give them maximum light near a window or under grow lights. By the time your last frost date arrives, you'll have strong, stocky tomato plants ready to explode with growth the second they hit the garden. Crop number 4, peppers. Peppers are even slower than tomatoes. Peppers are slow-growing and need a long time in the garden before they begin producing fruit, which makes January the absolute perfect time to start them. The trick with peppers is heat. They're tropical plants that won't even germinate in cool soil. You need 75 to 80 degrees Fahrenheit for successful germination, so use a heat mat if your house runs cool. Once they sprout, give them maximum light and don't rush them outside. A pepper exposed to 50 degrees Fahrenheit temperatures will literally stop growing for weeks. But start them now with proper heat and light, and you'll have peppers producing from July until the first frost, giving you months of fresh harvest plus plenty to freeze for winter. Crop number 5, eggplant. Eggplant is the most heat-loving vegetable you can grow, and it's also the slowest to mature. That's precisely why January planting isn't just helpful, it's absolutely necessary. Follow the exact same process as peppers: very warm soil for germination, maximum light, and patience before transplanting. But here's what makes eggplant worth the effort. A single plant can produce 15 to 20 beautiful fruits throughout summer, giving you enough for grilling, roasting, and making dishes that would cost a fortune at restaurants. Crop number 6, broccoli. Broccoli is a cool season superstar that hates heat, and if it's still maturing when the first heat wave hits, the heads will bolt and turn bitter overnight. Starting broccoli indoors in January ensures it matures during those perfect cool spring days when broccoli tastes absolutely incredible. Sow seeds in trays, Keep them at room temperature, and transplant outside about 6 weeks before your last frost. Space them 18 inches apart in rich soil. The difference between store-bought broccoli and homegrown January-started broccoli is shocking. We're talking about tight, dense heads that are sweet and tender instead of those sad grocery store versions. Crop number 7, cauliflower. Cauliflower has a reputation for being difficult, but that reputation exists because most people start it at the wrong time. Cool-season vegetables like cauliflower must be planted early enough to reach maturity before warm weather makes them bolt. The secret to perfect cauliflower is simple: start it in January indoors, never let it stop growing, and transplant it outside when it's strong enough to handle. Any stress or check in growth creates those tiny disappointing heads instead of the massive white curds you're after. Sow seeds in individual pots, keep them consistently moist, and feed them regularly. When you transplant them into the garden, space them 18 inches apart in the richest soil you have. Crop number 8, celery. Celery is one of those vegetables people think they can't grow, but the only real challenge is giving it enough time. Celery is notoriously slow to germinate, taking up to 3 weeks, and it needs a full season to develop those crisp stalks. Start celery seeds in late January, barely covering them because they need light to sprout. Keep them at 70 degrees Fahrenheit and be patient. When they finally germinate, prick them into individual pots and grow them strong before transplanting into trenches filled with rich compost. The payoff? Celery that's so much better than store-bought that you'll never look at those plastic-wrapped bundles the same way again. Crop number 9, lettuce. Winter lettuce varieties sown in January will provide fresh salads in early spring when lettuce costs $4 a head in stores. The secret is choosing cold-tolerant varieties like Winter Density or Arctic King. These lettuces can handle frost and will grow steadily even when temperatures drop. Start seeds indoors in late January, transplant into cold frames by early March, and you'll be harvesting crisp, fresh salad greens while your neighbors are still buying expensive grocery store lettuce. Crop number 10, spinach. Spinach germinates reliably at cooler temperatures down to 32 degrees Fahrenheit, and plants can tolerate temperatures as low as 0 degrees Fahrenheit. This makes spinach perfect for January planting, either indoors or directly in the garden if you're in a mild climate. Spinach is packed with iron and vitamins, grows quickly, and provides continuous harvests if you pick outer leaves while letting the center keep growing. Choose varieties like Bloomsdale or Winter Giant for maximum cold tolerance and start them now for early spring harvests. Crop number 11, kale. Kale is virtually indestructible. Kale is a cool weather vegetable that actually tastes sweeter after exposure to frost. Start kale seeds indoors in January, transplant outside when they're 4 to 6 inches tall, and you'll have continuous harvests from late spring through the following winter. A single planting of kale can literally feed your family for an entire year because it just keeps producing. Space plants 18 inches apart and harvest outer leaves while the growing tip continues making new growth. Kale started in January will be your garden's most productive crop. Crop number 12, peas. Peas need soil temperatures of 55 to 60 degrees Fahrenheit for germination, which means starting them indoors in January gives you the earliest possible harvest. Use deep pots to avoid disturbing their roots, sow seeds 2 inches deep, and provide support even for dwarf varieties. Early peas are so sweet and tender that they rarely make it from the garden to the kitchen because you'll eat them all while picking. Crop number 13, garlic. If you missed fall garlic planting, late January is your last chance in mild climates. Break apart bulbs into individual cloves, plant them 2 inches deep with pointed ends up, and mulch heavily. Garlic planted in January will still produce a decent crop for summer harvest. Growing your own garlic saves enormous amounts of money since organic garlic costs $5 to $8 per pound in stores. Crop number 14, cabbage. January is the last month to plant long-season cool crops like cabbage that need months to form those dense heads. Start seeds indoors, transplant outside 6 weeks before last frost, and space them 18 inches apart. January started cabbage will be ready for harvest in early summer, giving you heads for fresh eating, coleslaw, and fermenting into sauerkraut. Crop number 15, broad beans. Broad beans are the hardiest vegetable you can grow, surviving temperatures down to 10 degrees Fahrenheit. In mild climates, sow them directly outside in January. In colder areas, start them in deep pots. Here's what makes broad beans incredible. They fix their own nitrogen from the air, improving your soil while they grow. After harvest, cut the plants at ground level and leave the nitrogen-rich roots to feed your next crop. Every single crop on this list has one thing in common: they all need January planting to reach their full potential. Wait until March or April, and you'll be weeks or even months behind on harvests. You'll be buying vegetables at peak prices when you could be eating from your own garden. The gardeners who succeed aren't the ones with the most space or the perfect soil. They're the ones who understand that the growing season doesn't start in spring. It starts right now in January, when you're planting seeds indoors while snow is still on the ground. So here's your action step. Pick just 5 of these crops to start this week. Get your seeds, prepare your trays, and start planting. Because while everyone else is waiting for spring, you're building a food system that will feed your family for the entire year. If this helped you, drop a comment below telling me which crop you're most excited to plant. And subscribe because I'm sharing more month-by-month planting guides that will transform your garden. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.